Yeah, I wasn't aware of how much I used pretty until you mentioned it. Rude.
No, it's just it comes up a lot. That's a very prominent theme, and we don't do things randomly. We do things because they make a logic in our brain. They're how we have internalized or feel, or how we've learned to talk about a thing, right? And for me, the fact that pretty comes up a lot, it makes me, it leaves me with questions. That's all.
Yeah.
Just because I would say that pretty is a very gendered word.
Yeah. I would agree with that, definitely.
And the other thing that it comes up, you'd mentioned before the intersection of kind of like what a black woman, or, what black femininity is supposed to look like, and where does pretty fall in that?
I mean, pretty is expected. Like, you want to be pretty, you want to sound pretty. Your beauty is your power. I've heard that before. Ladies, seriously? I'm referring to my cat, sorry. And like, pretty was a means of protection. Pretty was a weapon. Pretty was like a way you can navigate the world. And so being pretty was important.
Testify.
And so I wanted to be pretty, if not visually, because that was a whole fucking thing. I couldn't rectify girly. Once I got to being a teenager where girly and pretty didn't have to be the same thing, that was great. Just settled on cute. Cute was an easier one to deal with. But like, there's a certain level of like courageous separation to want beauty over pretty, but that doesn't mean I don't remember that I'm supposed to be pretty, air quotes. And so, yeah, I could see that coming up a lot, because it's not like my new revelation of confidence and fuck it, I'll do what I want. It's not like that's been my whole lived experience. Like, I grew up with expectations, and they still are here. They still color how I view myself and other people view me, unfortunately. So, yeah, I strive for beauty, but I understand pretty is a thing.
So you would say then that pretty has more to do with external expectations, while beauty is what you want internally to be.
I would agree with that, yes.
So, do you feel like your voice fits your genre and repertoire well?
Yes, I would say that.
Mm-hmm. Do you feel like your identity, gender identity, your voice, and your repertoire align?
Yeah, like, shrug, kinda. Insofar as I sing it well, they align. I don't know that me as a person singing it necessarily align, but that's because me is involved. If I was a floating larynx or a larynx in somebody else, then it would probably align better, but that's only because music is made by people, and people are human and fallible and assholes sometimes. But yes, my voice aligns well with the genres I sing. My personality may or may not.
Does singing repertoire in a gender presentation that you don't feel represents you, how do you navigate that?
So it's interesting. Because I'm a pretty like feminine non-binary person. So like a lot of times it doesn't come up the most often. So like actually it's fine until we start getting into social fuckery. Which happens really quick actually, because opera is really fucking misogynistic. But for the most,
Can you just elaborate on that when you say opera is misogynistic? Can you give me like a brief couple of sentences of what you mean by that?
what I mean is, good God, most libretti treat women like fucking either idiots, or they're constantly getting killed, or they're being someone's property or owned or controlled by either their husband or their father or some sort of familiar person. Like, they're very often either not treated as their own autonomous person, or they are, and because they did some fuckery, they deserve to die, or be punished or some shit. Regardless, somehow opera is just like, well, all right, I know I'm gonna die at some point in this show. What? I have a lead role, I'm dead or crazy.
And does the intersection of that with your like ethnic and cultural background, does that complicate things? I can't imagine that it wouldn't, but
I mean, it's complicated, and I think it's funny, because I am nobody straightforward. I am literally, no aspect of my identity is straightforward for anyone. And so I can't pretend to be easy or convenient for anyone. And so like, I walk into this like often two-dimensional portrayal of opera, and it's just like, well, I mean, I am the black queer elephant in the room, and even if I don't say shit, you can't ignore me. And so I just think it's really funny, because it's like, no, I definitely don't fit what was expected when this was written, or even what's expected in current performance practice, but here I am.
Do you feel like that makes the people around you uncomfortable?
Conveniently. Actually, often it doesn't make the people I'm working with uncomfortable. Mm-hmm. Like, it may or may not make the casting directors uncomfortable, which I greatly attribute to not getting as many gigs as I want. But like, most of my colleagues tend to be chill as fuck, or keep to themselves, which I also appreciate.
So you think it's more of like an audience or a kind of systemic discomfort?
Yes, I do. I don't know that I should schmooze. It's like required, so that we can keep benefactors and whatnot. But I'm always just like, do you want me to be me, or do you want me to be the representation of an opera singer that they want to and expect? Because I can be me, but do you want that?
It's interesting, because that's come up in other interviews of navigating like what the little old lady on the board wants to see versus who you actually are, right?
The Mulan song just popped into my head. When will my reflection show who I am? Like, anyway.
Yes. So, given that a perception of the voice can change from day to day, these are kind of generalized questions, but just a couple of things as we're ending here. Have you always been happy or satisfied with your singing voice?
No. I don't know any singer who has always been happy or satisfied with their singing voice. It was less a gendery thing and more a, oh my God, why am I a dumpster fire thing? So.
Was that more, I'm struggling with my technical aspects and what the fuck is this even, or more of what is this voice I have and why do I have it and why does it suck? Because those are two different things.
Those are different. You know, mine was like, the former, learning to drive a stick shift and screwing up my transmission, like, just like, what the fuck is happening right now? I for a bit struggled with what I sounded like and not being who I wanted. Like, oh my God, like blackness and gospel were synonymous in my brain, and I didn't sing gospel well. Like, I don't I don't do runs well. And like, how can I be a Black person and not sing runs well? And so that was a thing where I was just like, oh, I can't do it. What's wrong